Good evening and welcome once more. So today we are going to continue with our EC2, you know, component creation. In the previous video, I have shown you the overview of your EC2 dashboard. We have created and launched some EC2 instances like the Windows, Linux, and the Ubuntu. So today we are going to go further in, configuring an EC2, and today we are going to be discussing known as AWS, or we are going to be discussing something known as user data. So first thing first, I'm going to open my account. As you can see, this is my AWS management account, and I've logged into my favorite region. Not only favorite, but one thing I'll tell you is before you actually start using a region, the first thing you should remember is your region should always be closest, or your availability zone should always be closest to your users. Okay, that is what you need to work with. So on today's video, we are going to see what user data are. So just to give you a snippet of what user data are, you can as well download the full documentation on our website or contact me. When it comes to automating stuff, we call it bootstrapping. Okay, user data helps automate instance setup, and it is run at each what once at launch. We have user data and metadata. Okay, today we are discussing about user data. Basically, the process is known as bootstrapping. It helps us to automate instance setup, okay, to install a particular application, to do something, whatever thing you want to automate, whatever thing you want to do, or whatever thing you need your instance to launch, start, or whatever process, you can use a user data to do that. And it's always run what once at launch. That simply means whenever your instance is starting up, restarting, or coming on. Okay, so that's the summary, or that's the basic of what user data are. And before you actually start, before you actually go to your account to launch your EC2 instance, you eventually need a user data. So I have a user data here, which I generated. Okay, it's a user data that will display a simple car selling website. Okay, as you can see here, which I can share at the end of this video. So basically, a user data can do anything. Your user data can be used to start a particular server. Your user data can be used to start an application. Your user data can be used to start something that needs to be running at all time when your instance or when your server is running, without you manually intervening. Okay, that is okay. You should only intervene when, for example, your instance is launched and it fails. But most of the time, your user data will do it for you. So this is our user data. For those who don't know how to, who don't have user data, you can go to ChatGPT once you have understood what user data are. You can go to ChatGPT and eventually, you know, generate one for yourself, and you edit it. Okay, you edit it. Now, user data is a combination of, as you can see here, user data is a combination of, let's say, scripting, and you can incorporate some basic HTML and CSS styling in it. It all depends on what the user data is all about. Now, for scripting, there is a detailed documentation which you can find on my LinkedIn profile, okay, which I'm going to share at the end of this video. You can go there and get that PDF or get the proper presentation, and it's going to give you an overview of what scripting is all about. Okay, yeah, you're going to understand what scripting is all about. For example, this is bash scripting we are using, and this user data will basically update and upgrade our Ubuntu system. You should know the difference between API and apt. It's going to install nginx. Okay, we enable and start nginx. Then we are going to create, okay, a website and store it in the default directory of Ubuntu HTML page. And this is the page, this is the style, this is the body HTML, and then we are going to eventually change ownership and give it permission to read. Okay, to give it permission to, yeah, these are the permission. You also need to understand how to give permission, the meaning of 7555. Okay, how to give read, write, and execute permission. You get it? So this simply means 7 means full permission, 5 means partial, 5 means partial, then you start your nginx. So that's basically what this user data will do for you. So I'm going to copy my user data, as you can see, and minimize this. Now we need to create our EC2 instance. As I said, I'm going to be using an Ubuntu. So why am I using an Ubuntu? Simply because I'm using what, an a Debian package manager, the apt. You also need to have some introduction or some basic knowledge when it comes to Linux package manager. Yeah, okay, we have the Debian, and the other is, we are talking about the apt, we are talking about the yum and other. So I'm using apt, which is a Debian package manager. That simply means this will work for mostly Ubuntu servers or Ubuntu operating system. So I have my user data ready. As you can see here, this is my user data. It's ready. So I'm going to go to my AWS dashboard. First thing, we need to launch an EC2 instance. So we'll be launching an Ubuntu, as I said. If you want to launch Linux, you need to modify your user data. Okay. Okay, so we go straight to launch. If it is your first time, please, I will advise you to kindly go watch the previous video where I had to, show you how to launch some different EC2 instances. Okay, so I'll call this, just give it any name of your choice. It all depends on you. I'm going to go with Ubuntu. As I said, I'm using apt, I'm using the Debian package manager. I'll stay with the free tier, everything free for now. Basically, I don't need to connect to it. Okay, we don't need to connect to it, but it's advisable to always put a key pair in case there's a problem. You can remotely connect to it securely to analyze and solve the problem. So, but you don't need any key pair. So I'm going to put it in the public because the website is enable IP. I'm going to select my security group. Remember, your security group should be able to allow HTTP and why not HTTPS also, so that you can view it from your web browser. So when you get here, remember the basic configurations are your name, you choose the OS, you choose the AMI, the instance type, the key pair, your network settings, that is the subnet, the VPC, and the security group. And the storage will be there by default. You can add it if you want. You can add it later. When you get here, you need to click on the advanced details, then you scroll down. When you scroll down, this is basically where you're going to copy and paste your user data. Okay, so it's advisable to always generate your user data somewhere else. You modify it. As I said, you can go to ChatGPT and request for user data based on what you need. Then you copy the user data, open you can open Notepad plus plus if you have. It all depends on you. You can open Notepad or Notepad plus plus. You can open Sublime Text, any editor of your choice, and you paste it there. Then you edit it. Now, as I said, you will need some knowledge on batch scripting. You need knowledge when it comes to the Linux command, and you also need some knowledge when it comes to web programming. That is, I would say, basically HTML and CSS. But you'll be working hand to hand with some developers. It all depends on how your team is being built. There might be a team which specialize on generating this. Then you, the web engineer, you just get it and you go set it up. Okay, so basically this is called the shebang statement. That signifies that we are using bash scripting. This basically will update and install our Ubuntu instance. This will install nginx for us. Okay, nginx server, it's a reverse proxy server, and it's going to enable and start it. Okay, this is systemctl enable. These are Linux command. Now, in every operating system, most especially the Linux, uh, or the Linux and its distribution, there is a default directory there that keeps, your site, and this is it. You can as well modify it or change it if you want. So now this is our HTML, or this is our code, okay, to display our website. As I said, it's a simple website to sell cars. Okay, for those that know HTML programming, you can understand this. So I've just edited the title. Okay, I can edit the title and just put Tdemi group. Okay, you just edit base. If you know how to edit, please. Okay, you need to take note. And this is the styling above, what we call CSS, and this is the HTML with the body part. Okay, with the divs and whatever sectors and all the rest. And at the bottom of our user data, we had to change ownership. Okay, and also grant permission, because if you don't grant permission to read or to execute, okay, you will not be able to manipulate this directory where your site will be stored. And lastly, we are going to restart our nginx server. So that's basically what you need to do. When you're done, you just come and copy and paste here. Okay, that is it under user data option. And if you're certain that everything has been set up perfectly by you, all you need to do is to launch. Okay, so we know the process of launching. When we launch, it will go to the running state. Let me just show you. After the running state, we need to wait for the status check to go to either 2 on 2 or 3 on 3 check. Okay, it all depends on you, but now it's initializing. So we're going to pause this video and come back when everything is ready for us to test. So our Ubuntu server, it's up and running. 2 on 2 check. As I said, some instances you're going to see 2 on 2 checks. The internet state is running, and we have a public IP given to us. So basically, this is a web server. Okay, it's like a web server like Facebook, Instagram, and all the rest. Then you go type the URL on a browser or you download your app. In our case, we don't have a URL yet. Let me see if the DNS was created. Yep, not just the private, the public DNS was not created yet. Okay, in the advanced video, I'm going to walk you through on how to get a domain name and attach it to your EC2, whereby you don't need the public IP. You just type the domain name, for example, like something like facebook.com or tdemi.com. So for today, we are just going to copy the public IP. This time, we are not going to remotely connect to it. We just need to copy this. You can copy this and share to your friends, share to yourself, and open on your phone. But in our case, we'll copy. I'm going to open another tab. I'm going to paste the public IP here and hit enter. So if everything was well configured, and most especially the security group, yeah, welcome to our site. So this was a simple website that was incorporated in the user data, and you can see here is it. So this simply means whenever this EC2 instance is running, this site will be up. And even if you restart and you reboot this server, okay, automatically once it comes on, it will also start with this site. So that's one practical knowledge of how you can use user data. Okay, the process is called bootstrapping. It helps you to automate tasks, okay, during your EC2 launch, and you can, you know, edit the code based on your requirement. But as I said, you need to take into consideration that you need to understand how batch processing work, how Linux commands work, and some basic HTML and CSS skills. So that is it. Don't forget, after you must have tested, you need to terminate your EC2 instance. If you don't need it, okay, just terminate. Terminate so that you should not pay for something which is not needed, or you should not pay, or you should not go above your budget. Okay, so that is it for what I had for you today on user data. Thank you, stay tuned, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.